Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you after what can only be described as a horrendous game of football here at the Emirates. It's finished Arsenal 0, Crystal Palace 0. 2 hours of our lives we're not going to get too much. We're not going to get back, I'm afraid. It wasn't pretty. It was very much a 0-0. I'm sure you've all been watching and you've all got your own opinions on it. It was, it was a bit disappointing after what's been a good run of form for Arsenal, a good winning run. It's come to an end. The winning run ends at 4. I mean, it wasn't a defeat, that's one thing. It was another clean sheet, that's one thing. But they've got to get a little bit better at home, because Arsenal, I think it's 1 win in 7 at the Emirates, and that is not good enough if they want to get themselves up the table. They've got to improve that home form. It was a sort of game, 2 halves for Arsenal. Really poor in the first half. Better in the second, but still not great. They came out lively, sort of first 10 minutes, second half. You thought they might mount a little bit of a charge for the second half, but it kind of petered out as the game went on. You're always wary of Crystal Palace on the break. Zaha was lively as always, as they played well, especially in the first half, and they always carried a threat about them. Palace actually outshot Arsenal. I think they had 12 shots to Arsenal's 11, although most of those came in the first half. The stats is showing there 2 shots for Arsenal in the first half, 9 for Palace, but in the second half it was role reversal really, 9 for Arsenal and 3 for Palace. The closest Arsenal went was a powerful shot from Aubameyang in the first half, which went straight at the keeper. That's probably the closest they came. Palace certainly went the closest. They hit the bar through Tompkins in the first half, and Leno made a fantastic save from Benteke's header as well, and that was the closest either side came really. And yeah, I know there's not much more to say. It was just very much a 0-0 game. It was, Arsenal just couldn't quite get Smith Rowe into the game. He was always on the fringes of it. He's made so much happen recently for Arsenal, but he just couldn't get in the game. You know, it's classic Palace. I'm sitting just behind the Palace dugout, and Ray Lewington, the assistant coach, was there the whole time, and you could tell how happy he was. You could see that they'd sort of stuck to the game plan perfectly, and him and Roy Hodgson were very happy with the performance. Certainly going to be happier than Mikel Arteta is. Still waiting for Mikel to come out. I'm looking down, I can see Andros Townsend talking to the TV cameras at the moment. We're still waiting for the managers, and then Mikel will come and talk to us afterwards. Not sure exactly what he's going to say after that. There's not too much to say. Arsenal really missed Kieran Tierney. He was obviously absent today with what they described as sort of muscle soreness. Mikel, speaking to the TV cameras before the game, said that he just wasn't ready, hadn't recovered well, and that's why he was left out. Maybe he'll go on and say a little bit more about that tonight, and you could see on this evidence Arsenal need him back pretty quickly, because Ainsley Maitland-Niles came in for him at left back today and had a bit of a shocker really. Well, he had a full-on shocker. He was dreadful, and Arsenal really missed Tierney down that left-hand side, getting in the support of Aubameyang overlapping, and his delivery, they just missed him. It was they got themselves into some decent positions at times, Arsenal, in the game, but the final ball was poor. Bellerin, who's just come out, he's talking to the cameras now. Bellerin, his delivery was poor when he got into some good positions. Maitland-Niles on the other side, and it was just one of those nights. I think you could tell after about 20 minutes, half an hour, that this one was heading for a 0-0, and if it was either team was going to score, it was either going to be Palace on a counter-attack or Arsenal from a set piece or something like that, because they just never really looked like prizing open this Palace defence. It's four draws in the last 5 games between these two sides now, so Palace certainly know how to avoid defeat against Arsenal. I think it's 5 games in total since Arsenal last beat Palace, becoming a little bit of a bogey side, which is strange, considering if you sort of grew up at the same time that I did, then Palace were always Arsenal's whipping boys, but that's not the case anymore. And Arsenal, I think you just got to put this one to bed now and focus on that game on Monday night against Newcastle, and hopefully get back to winning ways in the Premier League then. Right, let's move on to player ratings, shall we? Little bit of a disclaimer, they're not going to be very high for Arsenal. There was 2 standout players for me for Arsenal, and they were both playing in central midfield, but I'll get to them in a bit. Bernd Leno did exactly what he had to do. A fantastic save from Benteke's header in the first half. Really decent stop, and he did everything he had to do in the game, so I'll give Bernd Leno a 7. Bellerin, I thought, like I said, he got in some decent positions, but his final ball was poor. He took one off the boot of Lacazette in the first half when he came in, and it looked like Lacazette was going to pull the trigger and have a decent attempt on goal, and Bellerin came in and sort of took it off and put it wide. So not the best performances from Bellerin. I'll give him a 5. Rob Holding and David Luiz did okay. In fact, I thought, yeah, no, they did all right. I think most of the threat from Palace came down the sort of flanks and the fullbacks. I thought the centre backs did all right. I'll give those two both a 6. Ainsley, Maitland-Niles, look away now, Ainsley. I'm afraid I'm going to have to give you a 3. I think he was really disappointing tonight. First 20 minutes, he gave the ball away 7 times. I think it was up to 9 times in 25 minutes, and he just had a stinker. There's no other way about it. It just didn't work out for Ainsley all night long, and he was eventually hooked in the second half with Pepe coming on, Xhaka moving to left back, and yeah, sort of put him out of his misery. Really, it was a bad night at the office for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who hasn't played much football recently, but I'm still not sure that's much of an excuse for the performance served up tonight. The two central midfielders were standout. By far and away Arsenal's best 2 players on the night. Ceballos making way for Thomas Partey with about 20 minutes to go. Played really, really well. In the first half he was outstanding, I thought. Ceballos was the best player on the pitch. Closely followed by Xhaka. So I'll give Ceballos a 7. I'll give Xhaka a 7. And then the front 4 is just feeding on scraps the whole night. No one really got much of the ball. Aubameyang had that one good effort that was saved in the first half. Lacazette didn't really have a sniff. Xhaka worked hard, but you know, again, just not his night. And same for Smith Rowe. Arsenal just couldn't get Smith Rowe in the game, and he's made such a difference for them in the recent games, Smith Rowe, by getting on the ball and getting in the pockets of space. But Arsenal just couldn't find him in the dangerous positions to get tonight, and they suffered for it in terms of creative threat. So Saka, I'm going to give a 6. Smith Rowe, I'm going to give Smith Rowe a 6. Auber a 6, and Laka, I'll give Laka a 6, but I mean, he was feeding on scraps all night long. The substitutes came on. I thought Pepe was really poor when he came on. He had a good opportunity, although it was only 20 minutes. You thought, come on, go on and you know, try and make a difference, try and win the game, but he just couldn't. It was just very, very average. Pepe when he came on. Partey as well. I mean, 20 minutes. He's not been on. He's only just come back, but he's not really going to unlock that Palace defence at that point of the game. And Eddie came on for 10 minutes, but barely got a sniff right at the end. So it's tough to mark any of those subs because they didn't really have much of an impact at all. So that's about it from the Emirates. Still waiting for Mikel Arteta to come out. I will come on tomorrow and do a much more longer detailed piece looking at what the managers had to say, focusing on the game a little bit more and looking ahead to Monday night's game at against Newcastle, which is back here at the Emirates. So hopefully Arsenal can find that winning touch again. Thanks for joining me, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed the match wherever you're watching it around the world, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.